FedEx dropped a $5,000 TV in the rain, but they walked right into my insurance trap. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to spend $5,000 on a television. But after my promotion at the architectural firm in Boston, I decided it was time to treat myself to something special. 20 years of drafting blueprints and managing difficult clients had finally paid off with a corner office and a substantial salary bump. The TV wasn't just any television. It was a 77-inch OLED masterpiece with perfect blacks and colors so vivid they made reality look dull by comparison. I'd researched for weeks, comparing specs and reading reviews until my eyes burned. When I finally placed the order during the Memorial Day sale, I felt that unique mixture of excitement and guilt that comes with any major purchase. You only live once, I told myself as I clicked the checkout button and scheduled the delivery for the following Friday. I'd taken the day off work specifically to be home when it arrived. The weather forecast that week showed clear skies until Thursday, when a storm system was expected to move through New England. By Friday morning, rain was coming down in sheets, beating against my windows with a rhythm that matched my growing anxiety. The delivery window was between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., and as noon approached with no sign of the truck, I began pacing from the living room to the kitchen and back again. I'd already cleared the perfect spot for the TV, the focal point of my newly renovated living room with its exposed brick wall and refinished hardwood floors. Everything was ready except for the main attraction. When my phone finally buzzed with a notification that the FedEx truck was approaching, I grabbed my raincoat and headed downstairs to the building's entrance. My apartment was on the third floor of a converted textile mill, and I wanted to make sure the delivery person had the door code. Standing under the small awning, I watched the white and purple truck navigate the flooded parking lot, windshield wipers working furiously against the downpour. It pulled into a spot about 50 yards from the entrance, and I could see a single driver inside, already looking annoyed at the prospect of unloading a massive television in this weather. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. The driver emerged without a raincoat, just a FedEx cap that immediately became soaked. He opened the back of the truck, dragged out a massive box with my name printed on the shipping label, and instead of using a dolly or calling for assistance, attempted to carry it himself. I started jogging toward him, waving my arms and shouting, "Wait, I can help you with that." But my voice was drowned out by the rain and a crack of thunder that chose that precise moment to announce itself. The driver, clearly struggling with the weight and size of the package, took about 5 unsteady steps before disaster struck. His foot hit a puddle, his balance faltered, and the box containing my $5,000 television tumbled from his grasp, landing with a sickening splash in a puddle deep enough to submerge half the package. "No!" I shouted, now running at full speed through the rain. The driver looked up at me with an expression that mixed shock, embarrassment, and resignation. By the time I reached him, he was already pulling out his electronic scanner. "I'm gonna need you to sign for this," he said, as if he hadn't just dropped what was supposed to be the centerpiece of my home entertainment system into what now resembled a small lake. "Are you kidding me?" I spluttered, rain dripping down my face. "You just dropped it in water. It's ruined." He shrugged, his expression hardening. "You can refuse the delivery and file a claim, or you can sign for it and file a claim if it doesn't work. Your choice, man." Standing there in the rain, looking at my soaked, probably destroyed television, I made a decision that would set in motion a weeks-long battle. I pulled out my phone and started recording. "I'm going to sign for it," I said, "but I want to document the condition it's in right now, before I even open it." The driver rolled his eyes but stepped back as I circled the box, capturing video of the water damage, the crushed corner, and the driver's badge number. What he didn't know, what FedEx didn't know, was that I'd been down this road before with a different delivery company and a much less expensive package. This time I was prepared. Back in my apartment, with the massive box leaving a trail of water across my hardwood floor, I continued documenting everything. I set up my phone on a tripod and narrated as I carefully opened the soaking wet package. "This is the FedEx delivery of my LG 77-inch OLED television, order number 8547293, delivered on Friday, May 24th. As you can see, the box is severely water damaged after being dropped in standing water during delivery. I peeled back the saturated cardboard to reveal the TV inside. Water had penetrated multiple layers of packaging, and my heart sank when I saw droplets inside the plastic covering the screen. This wasn't just a damaged box. The water had reached the electronics. Still recording, I carefully removed all the packaging materials, displaying each soaked component to the camera. When I finally had the television itself free from the box, the extent of the damage became clear. There was visible water inside the screen, condensation forming in small bubbles behind the glass. The bottom corner of the frame was cracked where it had hit the ground. I will now attempt to set up the television to see if it functions at all. Though given the visible water damage, I have serious concerns about both immediate functionality and long-term reliability, as well as potential electrical safety hazards. I went through the motions of setting up the TV on my stand, connecting the power cord with dry hands and a healthy respect for the possibility of electrical shorts. When I pressed the power button, nothing happened. I tried again. Still nothing. Not even the standby light came on. I wasn't surprised, but the confirmation that my $5,000 purchase was dead on arrival still hit hard. I turned back to the camera. As demonstrated, the television does not power on at all. I will now call FedEx customer service to report the damage and begin the claims process. What I didn't say on camera was that I had already taken several precautions before this delivery ever arrived. 3 months earlier, I'd been burned when a different carrier had damaged a package and then fought my claim for weeks. That experience had taught me valuable lessons that I'd put into practice this time. First, I had purchased the television with my premium credit card that offered purchase protection and extended warranty coverage. Second, I had added a rider to my renter's insurance specifically covering high-value deliveries. And third, perhaps most importantly, I had documented every step of the order process, saving screenshots of the purchase, the delivery scheduling, and even the weather forecast showing the expected rain on delivery day. The phone call to FedEx went exactly as I expected. After navigating an infuriating automated system, I reached a customer service representative who sounded as though my catastrophe was the 50th one they'd heard that day. "I understand your frustration, sir, but you did sign for the package," the representative said after I explained the situation. "That indicates you accepted the delivery in the condition it arrived." I signed for it while clearly stating to the driver that I was accepting the damaged package only so I could document and report the extent of the damage, I replied, keeping my voice level. "I have video of the entire delivery, including the driver dropping the television in standing water, as well as his acknowledgement that I should file a claim." There was a pause on the line. "You have video of the delivery?" "Yes, complete video from the moment the truck arrived until now, showing the driver dropping the package, the water damage, and the television failing to power on." Another pause, longer this time. "I'll need to transfer you to our claims department. Please hold." As I waited on hold, watching the minutes tick by on my phone screen, I knew this was just the beginning. The claims department would fight me every step of the way. But what they didn't know was that I had spent the last 3 months becoming an expert in consumer protection laws, insurance claims procedures, and the specific policies of both the retailer and FedEx regarding damaged deliveries. They had walked right into my trap. I wasn't just prepared, I was ready for war. The claims process started predictably enough. FedEx sent an email acknowledging my claim with a case number and a promise that someone would contact me within 5 to 7 business days. I knew better than to simply wait. The next morning, I called the retailer where I'd purchased the TV and explained the situation. The customer service representative was sympathetic but not particularly helpful. "Since you signed for the delivery, this would be a matter to take up with FedEx," she said. "Their insurance should cover the damage." "I understand," I replied, "but as the seller, you have a responsibility to ensure the product reaches me in working condition. The Uniform Commercial Code is clear on this point." I was no lawyer, but I'd done my research. There was a long pause on the line. "Let me transfer you to our claims department." This became my life for the next 2 weeks: phone calls, emails, documentation submissions, and transfers between departments. FedEx claimed the retailer was responsible because they hadn't packaged the item adequately for rain. The retailer claimed FedEx was responsible because they had dropped the package. Both suggested I contact my credit card company or personal insurance. So I did. All of them. I filed a claim with my credit card company under their purchase protection program. I submitted a claim to my renter's insurance under the special rider I'd added. I filed a complaint with the Better Business Bureau against both FedEx and the retailer. I submitted a detailed complaint to the Department of Transportation, which regulates shipping companies. And I sent certified letters to the legal departments of both companies outlining the situation and my intention to pursue all available remedies if not resolved satisfactorily. Each night after work, I'd spend hours organizing documentation, following up on claims, and researching my next moves. My dining table disappeared under stacks of papers, printouts of regulations, and notes from phone conversations. I created a spreadsheet tracking every communication, including the name of each representative I spoke with, the time and date of the call, and what was discussed. 3 weeks after the delivery, I received my first denial letter. FedEx claimed that because I had signed for the package, they were absolved of responsibility. The letter suggested I contact the seller or my personal insurance. The same day, I received an email from the retailer stating that since the damage occurred during transit, this was clearly a shipping insurance matter and I should continue pursuing my claim with FedEx. I had expected this. In fact, I was counting on it. That evening, I sent identical emails to both companies, attaching their denial communications along with my complete documentation package. The unedited video of the delivery, photos of the damage, screenshots of all communications, and my secret weapon, a copy of a legal precedent where a customer in a nearly identical situation had won a lawsuit against both the shipper and retailer after they attempted to deny responsibility. I concluded both emails with, "As you can see, I have exhausted the standard claims process with both companies, each of which has attempted to defer responsibility to the other. I have documentation of the entire incident from purchase to delivery to claim denials. I am prepared to escalate this matter through all available channels, including legal action if necessary. However, I would prefer to resolve this amicably with a full refund or replacement of my television within the next 5 business days." The responses came faster than I expected. The retailer called the very next morning. "We've reviewed your case again," said a new representative who identified himself as from the executive resolution team. "While we maintain that the damage occurred during shipping and should be covered by FedEx's insurance, we value you as a customer and want to resolve this situation positively." He offered a full refund or a replacement television, shipped by a different carrier, with additional protective packaging and insurance. 2 days later, FedEx called as well. They still maintained that I had accepted the delivery by signing for it, but as a goodwill gesture, they would issue a check covering the full purchase price of the television. I had won, twice. In the end, I accepted the replacement television from the retailer and the check from FedEx. Some might call it double dipping, but I considered it fair compensation for the hours I'd spent fighting this battle and the weeks I'd gone without the purchase I'd saved for. More importantly, it validated my preparation and perseverance. The new television arrived on a sunny Tuesday, delivered by a 2-person team from a local delivery service. They carefully carried it up to my apartment, helped me unbox it to verify there was no damage, and even offered to help set it up. The picture was even more spectacular than I had imagined during those weeks of waiting. As I sat on my couch that evening, the brilliant colors of a nature documentary filling my living room, I reflected on the experience. The stress, the frustration, the hours of work, all of it had been worth it, not just for the material resolution but for the principle. Too often, large companies count on consumers giving up when faced with bureaucratic runarounds and departmental finger-pointing. The check from FedEx arrived the following week. I deposited it immediately and used part of it to upgrade my home theater system with a new soundbar and subwoofer. The rest went into a savings account I'd labeled Future Battles, because I knew this wouldn't be the last time I'd need to stand up for myself as a consumer. A month later, I received an unexpected email from the retailer. They were updating their delivery policies based in part on customer feedback regarding high-value electronics deliveries. The new policy included weather-based rescheduling options and mandatory 2-person teams for items over a certain value and size threshold. I couldn't help but smile at this. One person's frustrating experience had potentially improved the system for everyone who came after. It wasn't just about the money or even the principle anymore. It was about making things work better. That same week, I received a call from my brother in Chicago, who was having trouble with a furniture delivery that had arrived damaged. "The company is giving me the runaround," he said, frustration evident in his voice. "They keep telling me to call the delivery company, and the delivery company keeps sending me back to them." I leaned back in my sofa, the perfect black levels of my new OLED TV displaying a starfield that seemed to extend infinitely into my living room. "Let me tell you exactly what you need to do," I said, opening my laptop to share the wisdom I'd gained. "First, document everything. Second, know your rights. And third, this is the most important, be prepared to fight for what you're owed." As I walked him through the process, sharing the lessons from my own experience, I realized that my ordeal with the television had given me something more valuable than just a replacement product or monetary compensation. It had given me knowledge, confidence, and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes, just sometimes, the little guy can win. The rain-soaked disaster had led to an unexpected triumph. FedEx had indeed dropped my expensive TV in the rain, but they, along with the retailer, had walked right into my insurance trap. And in doing so, they had taught me that preparation and persistence can level the playing field even against the biggest opponents. That night, as I watched a movie on my perfect new television, the sound crisp through my new speakers, I raised a glass to the power of being prepared. Sometimes life setbacks aren't setbacks at all. They're setups for something better.